Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the One Hub Racing YouTube channel. It's the turn of the Precision tier to take centre stage for round 4 of Season 17 around the Marina circuit here in a glamorous location that is Abu Dhabi. My name is Jake, and I'm joined by Craig, who has barely had a chance to get his breath back after his race in the Prospect tier. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, not too bad. Frustrated, but looking forward to commentate on this race now. I don't like this track really.
One of a few locations where we don't have to worry too much about weather. Cuba commentators curse when there's a massive thunderstorm in the race or something. But yeah, going into this race, it was quite an entertaining race last time out of Hungary. We saw Jay Fletcher take the win. We're ahead of Knowlesy in second. We have Kian in third with Tom Robbo in fourth, and Nick completed the top 5. As well as that, Jay Fletcher got driver of the day as well. Definitely a worthy winner. What stood out to you last week?
Well, you said Fletcher started from third, got to first in the first corner, and led the whole race the whole time. He looked pretty much in control. I felt sorry for Verheyen, PB Racing, and I think it's Farf. They could have been on the podium. They were looking very, very good, but sadly they had issues. Sadly, Verheyen got put back on 11 old soft tyres for some reason when he served his 5-second penalty under the safety car, so to come back in again, that ruined him. Robbo had a great comeback from the back, was a bit impatient at times, but he made his good places. Nick did well to come from the back, and McLaren were very solid. I think he would be a bit annoyed if he was going to try and get the undercut on Fletcher or be near him, because he was doing a different strategy, and the safety car come out exactly the right time for the guys that were still out on the mediums. But no, Fletcher definitely deserved the win, and let's see if we can get another one tonight.
Absolutely, and going into this round, in terms of how the championship standings are shaping up at this point, we've got Tom Robbo in the lead on 50 points, with Jay Fletcher just 3 points behind on 47. So that was a really crucial win last time out in terms of a championship. Knowlesy currently sits in third on 35, with Scorpion in fourth, and Chris completing the top 5. And then quickly in terms of the constructors, it's very, very close, with just 8 points separating the top 4 teams, which at the moment are Mercedes, Racing Point, Ferrari, and McLaren. So all very close in both championships, which is exactly what we'd like to see. And in terms of the current drivers' battle between Tom and Jay Fletcher, are you getting the impression that this is going to be one that's going to go right down to the wire?
Oh yeah, definitely. They both, well, you know, it was only my first race commentator last week, and I haven't seen what Robert could do at the front. Obviously, he's got very good pace. There are still other drivers as well. I think the McLarens can still be up there as well, and we could see some other people too. But you know, Fletcher stood out for me, but Robbo, I could definitely tell he had very good pace. And as you remember, we had a wet qualifying turn into dry, so we had some people that wouldn't normally be at the top. But I still feel sorry for them because they haven't even scored any points yet, some of them. And talk about Verheyen, he's already out of the qualifying session.
Wow, that's really not what he wanted. He was, like you mentioned, incredibly unlucky last week. I actually put him forward as my driver of the day nomination, despite the fact he didn't actually finish the race, which shows just how well he did. As Nick slots into second, making it a Mercedes 1-2, probably the most commonly used phrase in Formula 1 over the last 6 years. But yeah, coming into this round, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Abu Dhabi can be one of those tracks. I get a feeling there's a lot of drivers out there that don't particularly like this circuit. Certainly some of the things I heard in the media day yesterday backed that up. Scorpion Hun was quoted as saying he hates Abu Dhabi with a burning passion. So
I completely agree with him. I feel that same passion. I don't like it in the game, I don't like it in real life. Luckily for us, the racing is a lot better in league race than it is in real life, because there's never been a great race to watch in real life. And it is like, you know, the last track of the calendar, and it's normally quite a dull. And it was quite a struggle before they even had DRS. As you remember, Fernando Alonso was stuck behind Vitaly Petrov all that time back in 2010, which kind of cost him the championship, pitting too early, and Vettel went on to win it. It's not really, with all the lights and all that and everything, it looks spectacular. The racing has never been good, but luckily we should have a good race tonight here, though.
I definitely hope so. I think a bit like France, although it's not terribly great to watch in real life, It seems to produce good racing on the game, so it's quite a good thing in that regard. Quickly, in terms of the stewards coming into this, Precision actually did see the most reported incidents last week, so hopefully we're a bit less mentioned in that regard this week. Both Riley and Scorpion were awarded 5-second time penalties after the race, and Cashman as well, I believe. In terms of what the stewards have said, they just main things to note were to be careful with braking and moves on the opening lap. Obviously, quite standard stuff, really. And obviously, the major overtaking spots are turns 8 and 11 at the end of those 2 long straights. And it has been advised if you do force another driver off a track, try and return the position. So anyone does that and doesn't return the position, I suspect they may find themselves in a bit of bother there too. But yeah, hopefully a little bit cleaner this week. And clearly no love lost between some of the drivers because... Chris was quoted as saying in the media day yesterday that he wants to be in front of Riley Byes, so he doesn't have to worry about being put in the wall as much. So I get the sense there's a few rivalries just starting to develop in this tier.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping for Rimpa's sake he's not going to be a mobile chicane like he was last week, because he looked like he was trying to get away out of the way for everybody last week. That caused some chaos, and I'm hoping the Renault drivers have got a more stable setup this week, because they would seem to lose the back end a lot after turn 1, and one of them did go on the grass as well. So this track can be quite hard on tyres and long grip, so hopefully they're a bit more stable. But there are definitely rivalries building up here. Yeah, it's looking very, quite spicy between a few drivers at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not a surprise, actually, that the 2 Renaults had similar setup issues, because Okeke actually did admit in the build-up to this that he does go into party chat with his teammate for the race and says that his teammate Cashman has been helping him a lot with setups. Let's hope for their sake this week it's a little bit less oversteery, because that's not, although that could be good over 1 lap, it's not quite so easy to keep up over the course of 28, especially around this track where, certainly in my experience, the curbs can be quite lethal on occasion, so the last thing you want is an unpredictable car.
Yeah, you go over some of those curves and the back end seems to go quite easily. What I kind of noticed racing around here tonight, but the rear seemed to go quite hot and quite where the worst. The car slides around a lot, and I picked up a few penalties tonight with like track limits and all that. And if you start oversteering and going over this curve too much, it will give you warnings. So penalties could be a factor as well in this at the end of this race.
It's going to be an interesting one to see, because especially if we get any late safety cars or if a grid is quite closely bunched up, which to be fair in the early stages of qualifying certainly looks like it could be the case. Just looking quickly as well, in terms of like the past races around here, the last time that One Hub raced here was season 14. And in terms of the precision tier, Chris, who's actually currently on provisional pole position, he actually did get 3rd a couple of seasons ago, so he's got a good past record at this track in this tier. I suppose one driver who's slightly surprised me up to now is Schnicksel, who's yet to do a lap. I think he's currently on one now. I actually go on board of him, seeing as I'm currently discussing him. I was actually having a look. In terms of last season, he's the highest placed precision tier driver from the season 15 standings. He finished 8th, but yet so far he's only 10th at the moment. I'm a little bit surprised of that, because you'd think with the experience of being this tier before, he really could have taken a bull by the horns this season and really taken a step forwards, but as of yet not really happened for him. Does that surprise you as well?
Yeah, well, somebody with that experience, you think they would start like moving up the order. He's actually had a good solid race, and there are some reason, I didn't see it on the while watching, but he seemed to drop back right at the end, but he seemed to be right up there. He was doing a very similar strategy to Kian. Definitely about 5th or something at that point, but I think he ended up much lower than that. But this is the track where you like it or you're not, and you're going to tell by the time difference as well in qualifying. It is such a long lap as well, and strategy is going to be so key tonight, because in an undercut you could gain about 1.5-2 seconds on a driver if you can nail that outlap.
I absolutely love what I just saw there between the 2 Alfa Romeos. Schnicksel giving Hindle a nice cheeky toe down the straight to help him on his lap. That's really well choreographed from the team there. That's, it's something that you see in real life sometimes, and it's very difficult to execute, because it's so easy to if you get it just that timing slightly wrong, you're suddenly not slipstreaming your teammate, you're holding him up. So that was very well done there for the Alfa Romeo pair, and who knows, it might help Hindle to put a lap time that puts him near the top of the timesheets, as Jay Fletcher puts in a storming lap of 32.9 to go 4 tenths clear of Scorpion, the Abu Dhabi, certainly not a liker of Abu Dhabi, but his lap time suggests otherwise.
Yeah, sometimes you can still have good pace and you just don't like driving around the track. But traffic, the cars are nice to get out of the way. Traffic seems to be quite popular. I didn't think it would be in qualifying, but some cars seem to be quite bunched up. But Hindle, well, he gets in the top 10, so that's not too bad with a 34.0.
Couple of extra bits of things to note. If you are wondering who 9th place Ryoma Hoshi is, he was formerly Rantaro Amani and much more well known as Cloudy Balloons. He's changed his PSN name again, which, as you can probably guess, is a bit of a commentator's nightmare. But yeah, we'll hopefully get used to the name pretty quickly. And yeah, if you are in doubt, just remember he's Cloudy Balloons, because I think that's the name that he's most commonly known by. But yeah, I'm sure it probably won't be too many races before he changes it again and confuses us all. But yeah, for now he's Ryoma Hoshi, and currently he's in the top 10. In terms of the tyres that Pirelli have got for this race, it's actually the softest compound of tyres, C5, C4 and C3. And I was having a look at the time difference over one lap between the tyres, and looking at it, the hard tyres are so far off a pace. I suspect in a 2-stop race like we have at One Hub, we're probably not going to see too much of the hard tyres here. Would that be a fair statement to make?
Yeah, the hard tyres are just very too slow, and even if you was running in a league that just does the 1-stop, 2-stop is just naturally quick around this track anyway, because you can just gain so much time on fresher tyres, and it's such a technical circuit, especially the last sector. If you haven't got that grip with all those corners, you lose so much time. So that's what I say, strategy is going to be very key. I think we're going to see soft, medium, soft, or soft, medium, medium. You might see some early people coming in. But like you said, a VS0 safety car, like happened in Prospect here, safety car come out when there were 2 laps to go. And that could just ruin the strategy for somebody completely.
Really can. If you're in a good position towards the end of a race and you've maybe got a few penalties, the last thing you want to see is a late safety car, because that really does screw up your race. And that's why avoiding penalties, especially around a track like this, is going to be so crucial tonight, because I suspect we are going to see the majority of drivers with penalties, but you know, it's all about how many you get. If you do pick up penalties, 3 seconds is probably not going to be so bad, but you start picking up 6, 9, maybe 12 seconds, and that's going to have a big impact on your result.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, Fletcher's time might not get beaten. 4 tenths is quite a lot, but you can find a lot of time around this track if you can nail every corner. But Fletcher, you know, building that confidence up from winning Hungary, is definitely the guy to beat in qualifying at the moment. But you never know, someone might put it out the bag.
That's in Tom Robbo, his main championship rivals, up there at the moment, as well as Catboy Key puts it onto the front row in second. Still just around 3-4 tenths adrift of Fletcher, but that's a nice lap time from Catboy Key, and pops it onto the front row provisionally, and puts the likes of Tom Robbo and a few others under pressure. Based on the last race, I think Tom Robbo is going to be really focusing on qualifying today, because we saw how much it impacted him having to come through the field last week. So the last thing he can afford is to be in that situation again. So, you know, it's all very, very close behind Jay Fletcher, but like you said, that lap time is very, very good from the Mercedes driver, and you almost wonder, will he come out again? Because you see it sometimes, driver thinks they've got the perfect lap in, they'll just sit in the garage for the rest of the session.
Yeah, I still think he'll come out again though, just to make sure. Like, you should never ever feel, yeah, that's definitely it, because anything can happen. But mostly everybody's in the pits, got a couple of people out laps, so the only guy that's really on a lap is F1 Faf, who is one of the drivers I felt so sorry for. He was in P3, in a comfortable P3 as well, until I think he had a couple of spins in the second half of the race, and he sadly, I think when the pits were retired, he definitely had a chance. He's massively cut the chicane there. They have to back out. Yeah, I felt so sorry for him. He was like third for quite a lot at the time.
Yeah, and it's been a real difficult season for Haas in general in the precision tier. Just 1 point to their name up to now. and that's underachieving massively by their standards. And they've got two drivers who you would imagine would have picked up more points now, but yeah, just one way or the other, it's just not going their way at the moment. But we're still in relatively early days of the season. We haven't reached a halfway point yet, so there's time to turn things around. And speaking of that, I'm on board at the moment with PB Racing, Bryn, if you know him better as that name. But yeah, he actually said coming into this race tonight that he's actually turned the racing line back on. He was previously not using it. He turned it off. So he obviously trying to see how he'd cope without it. But he reckons he's found over 1 second of pace a lap by turning the line back on. Now, if that's true, then he could be someone to gate crash the Jay Fletcher party at the front. And he's already a decent lap at the moment. But to find over a second just by turning the line back on, that's pretty surprising for me. I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe adding a few more temps onto that just to scare people.
Well, I remember you telling me last week that he's getting used to the wheel and quite a few assists off, so it takes a lot of time, especially with no line on. It takes a long time to get back up to that pace, so I'm not surprised he's found a lot more pace, but maybe he's just found general pace, throughout the whole lap. He's going to cross, and he does get pole position just from Fletcher, so yeah, he's definitely found a lot of time, feels a lot more comfortable with the racing line on.
Yeah, and Jay Fletcher will be really happy he's come out again now because he does have a time to beat. Someone has managed to get onto his pace and join him in the 32s, but it's late on this qualifying session. I want to see where Jay Fletcher is in his lap because he's behind his teammates. So I'm going to stay on board with Nick for the time being just to see what he's doing on his lap. Currently in 7th, Farf has retired from session, so 11th is the best he's going to muster. We are in the closing stages of qualifying now, so if you are on a lap or just about to start one, this one's the one that's got to count. And for the likes of Tom Robbo, who's of course at the top of the championship, he'll be hoping for a little bit better than 5th. So some big laps coming up here, and although of course there's plenty of opportunities in the race, you definitely don't want to be up against it from the get-go with a bad qualifying spot.
Well, no, at least it's not going to be as worse as being 20th, and at least this track is a lot easier to overtake. So it's going to be a lot easier than last week. But no, if you want to be battling for the championship, you want to be consistently really in the front 2 rows really of every race. You don't want to be stuck in that mid pack because there's a more high percentage of being involved in a lap 1 incident. But Jay Fletcher's coming around the last corner now. Is he going to be able to get permissible pole position? He's going to cross the line, and he does with a 32.7.
That's an incredibly good lap.
2 tenths.
And Tom Robbo's invalidated his lap, so he will not be improving. So 5th is the best he's going to muster. Who else have we got out there on a lap at the moment? We've got Chris, who is a couple of temps up, so I'm going to follow him through the final sector. Both Ferraris potentially on laps that could improve their positions. They're already in pretty solid ones, but could be about to go better. I think I just saw someone jump up there. That might have been Knowlesy up to 9th. Maybe a little bit lower than he would have liked, because both McLarens were quite prominent near the front of the field last week, but both of them hanging around the edge of the top 10 at the moment. Let's see what Chris can do around the final couple of corners then. And as long as he holds this together here, he could be looking at maybe jumping up to P3. That gap between PB Racing and Catboy Key is quite a large one. And yes, he does slot into 3rd place. So nice lap from Chris right at the end. Scorpion's not going any quicker, so he's not going to improve. What about Ryoma? No, he's not improving either. In fact, is that pretty much it for qualifying, I wonder? Have we got anyone out there who's threatening a lap? It looks like everyone who's still technically on a lap, they're all just cruising back to the pits now. So I think
that's it.
I think that's everything. So Jay Fletcher looked for a second like he was going to have his pole position taken away, but he found a great lap of 32.7. And as qualifying sessions go, that was pretty commanding from the Mercedes driver. And with his main rival in 6th, I think he couldn't have hoped for much better than that.
Oh no, he's going to be absolutely happy now. Robbo is going to be probably absolutely gutted that he's invalidated. But well done to PB Racing for getting on the front row. Ferrari's looking very strong. And like you said, a bit disappointed with McLaren's down in 7th and 10th. And Nick is also going to be starting a lot higher than he did last week in 8th. So this is looking like a very good race. But sad to see for Hayden out so early. Right at the front last week, and now he's right down the back in 19th.
That's it's going to be... I mean, this is obviously quite a technical circuit. It's a good thing in a way that this isn't a real life race because we're going to see a lot more overtaking, I think, here. This is actually one of a few counterclockwise tracks that F1 currently races out, which is one of the stranger stats I found out in the build to this. 21 corners. That last sector is going to be absolutely key. We saw it in qualifying, but certainly from what I've seen anyway, following other cars in that final sector is never easy, and that we could see a few mistakes through that final sector if you are following closely to another car.
Absolutely. The difference is, can Fletcher hold the pole position and win the race? Yeah, he's looking very, very good.
Yeah, he looked absolutely imperious in qualifying, and looking at the grid at the moment then, just going to quickly try and scroll down just to catch everything. I don't think Okeke and well, I think the Renaults are on the back row of the grid, and Okeke didn't actually manage to get a lap in, so yeah, Renault's mentioning that they do share setups, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to be coming together for them right now, but they do have a chance to turn it around in the race, and well done to Jay Fletcher, and he'll be feeling pretty confident coming into this race, but as we know, this is F1, anything can happen, and he's got some very quick drivers behind him who will not want to let him just scarf off into the distance.
I know exactly. Robert want to try and get at least a couple of positions by the first couple of laps. Hopefully, it'd be perfect for Fletcher, gets the lead, gets a nice gets a bit of a gap, try and get the DRS window, and try and pull away. But it could be a surprise. Like I've noticed that some people are better at qualifying, and some other people are stronger in the race, and better looking after their tyres. But strategy could be everything as well. So yeah, anything can happen. There's no guarantee that Fletcher's going to walk off into the distance and win this race.
As someone just mentioned in the comments as well, decent stuff from the Haas boys. 11th and 12th in qualifying, which is actually... there is a case for suggesting that starting 11th and 12th is probably better than starting 8th or 9th sometimes, because you have that bigger freedom in strategy and you're not too much further down. So we talked about Haas struggling at the bottom of the constructors on 1 point. This is surely an opportunity for them to up that tally quite significantly.
Yeah, hopefully they won't get tangled up in lap 1 incident. Hopefully they'll get a clean start, and yeah, let's hope they can start bringing some more points to the team, because they've not had the best of starts, and maybe they could kick off their season from here.
Absolutely, and I mean, we've currently got Mercedes top of the constructors. It's quite a... They've got a pretty solid team, but there's so many teams around them that are strong as well, so I can definitely see constructors fight and the drivers fight going down to the final round. And it's fantastic we've got a full grid of drivers here, and it should be a very entertaining 28 laps ahead of us. Let's have a quick look to see what tyres everyone's starting on. More people starting on softs than usual, I would say, but as we mentioned, the hard tyre around here is quite useless. We've just got the 3 drivers starting on mediums. That's Farf, Rimpe and Hindle, and for those starting on mediums, is that going to give them a few more strategy options later on in the race, perhaps?
Yeah, if a VST or a safety car comes out later after the guys have pitted for the softs, because the softs don't really go any longer to about no more than 10 laps until they're really gone. So it gives them more of a freedom. They could go medium, soft, medium. But I'm not surprised that quite a few people start the softs as well. So maybe they just want to get the softs out of the way, because if you're hard on tyre like me, you want to get the soft stint out the way, and you can get a big undercut as well on the mediums. But we'll keep an eye on the guys on the mediums and see how they get on.
Just saw quite an unusual mistake on an outlap there from Jay Fletcher. Nearly went off the track. Already testing the grip of his tyres. I mean, that should get them warmed up nicely, if nothing else. But yeah, unusual to see a driver pushing so much. Maybe lost concentration, I don't know. But nevertheless, it's not going to affect him on this outlap, and he's just got to lead the cars around this very tricky final sector. It's almost like the game knows how one hub works. They're even suggesting 2 stops. So there you go. Most likely thing here is probably either 2 soft stints or a medium stint, or 2 medium stints and a soft. Maybe the odd person going for hards, but to be honest, I think it does put you a major disadvantage just to how slow the hards are.
Yeah, it was definitely noticeable. I know that 1 or 2 people tried it in my tier, and they were just, they get a bit of an undercut at first, but it's just too slow. And even on mediums, it's a lot quicker. So If there's maybe a safety car after the first couple laps, maybe go hard and go all the way to the end to go for that gamble. But other than that, it's soft or mediums all the way, really. They're easily a lot quicker, and the mediums can last for quite a long time as well, so...
And despite the uniqueness to the pit entry and exit here, you only actually lose 20 seconds in the pit, so it's quite a normal amount of time to lose in a pit lane, so there's not too much to worry about from that side of things. If anything, the biggest challenge with that pit lane is just making sure you get through it safely, because it can be a little bit tricky on cold tyres. But we just got the final few cars lining up, and then we've got 28 laps in front of us, and a big opportunity here for Jay Fletcher to potentially take the lead in the Drivers' Championship. He won last week. Can he back that up here in Abu Dhabi tonight? We should be getting the lights on very shortly, and we'll be away to go here in Season 17 of One Hub. The Precision tier, it's round 4, it's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 5 lights are there, and when they stop illuminating, off we go. It looks like a very decent start indeed. In fact, from the AlphaTauri of Bryn, who goes flying into the lead. Jay Fletcher may be caught unawares there. There was nearly some contact between the Racing Point and Jay Fletcher, but they all get through pretty safely. The 2 Racing Points and Ferraris battling like mad further behind, but it's Scorpion who finds himself up to 3rd. But I have to say, Bryn absolutely lit that up off the start, and he's absolutely gone in the lead of this race. And it looks like everyone's made it through pretty safely, which is great to see. But yeah, Bryn really there just lit it up off the start, and it's almost like Jay Fletcher was caught napping somewhat.
He was very slow off the start. Luckily for him, it was only a short straight because the Ferraris and Force Race Points would have had him as well. I don't know, maybe he got stuck in the gear. I don't know, he just seemed very slow, but PB Racing's a great start for him. Robbo's already made up a position as well. Bad start for one of Ferraris, but like you said, everybody has got around pretty cleanly, so that is great to see.
And two Racing Points going side by side, but Catboy Key holds on to the position, but he may have picked up a warning there as he went over the bollard. A good start as well from Ryo Mahoshi, who's up to 8th place past Nick. In fact, both Haas cars into the top 10, so a really nice start from them. And it looks like Jonas may have had some sort of drama because he's dropped to the back of the field. But yeah, right now PB Racing having exactly the start that he would have wanted. And it looks like, if anything, Catboy Key's the one who's had a bit of a sluggish start and has got a few cars queuing up behind him ready to get past.
Yeah, now the question is he going to let his teammate pass for the championship already if he holds, Robert's going to be asking, like, can you let me through if you'll be holding me up too much? We have got a yellow flag set to 3. I think that's Casper that's got off. Or got into the pits. No, he has gone off for the last corner, so a bad start for him. I think the time has got all glitched now, so I don't know where everybody is. But Catkey already with a 3-second time penalty, so that is not a good start for him.
Yeah, and it looks like Casper's got damage as well, and they literally couldn't have picked a worse place to get damage because he's now going to have to go all the way around to the pits. So that's a real disaster for Casper, and that's going to be a tricky race from here on in to see how he gets on. But yeah, it's still as you were at the front, but yeah, I was about to say Catboy Key's not that far behind. I'm almost sure of it. Timing there, not giving quite the correct information. But if anything, Chris is looking potentially like he might make a move on Tom here, down into turn 11. Is he going to make the move? But further behind, in fact, got Ryo Mahoshi, who's having a cracking start. He's now looking at getting past the McLaren of Kian, but there's no way through there. He's got to stay starting behind now, but he absolutely looks on a mission, and the 2 Haas cars having a very nice start to this race. But yeah, as you mentioned with that penalty, to get a penalty so early on, that's really putting Catboy Key on the back foot.
Oh, definitely, and I'm going to try and keep an eye as well how Farf gets on. He's up to 10th on the lead-in of the medium tyres, so if he just sticks along with those cars and sticks to the DRS, that would be good for him. And importantly, PB Racing is now over a second ahead with the fastest lap with 37.6, so he's really pushing to make sure that Fletcher doesn't get in that DRS detection zone.
Yeah, and Chris is just absolutely hounding the back of Tom's Racing Point. You know, we mentioned how quick Tom is, but he doesn't look overly settled at this early stage of the race. He's not putting his teammate under significant pressure, and there are gaps forming between the top 3 right now. So PB Racing has got that important window that he needed, and Jay Fletcher himself isn't under much pressure, but it's really the battle behind between the 2 Ferraris and the 2 Racing Points that's they want to keep an eye on right now. And Farf is doing a good job on those medium tyres. If anything, he might be starting to attack Nick for 9th place. So, yeah, looks like Haas were listening earlier, because they're really coming alive in his early part of this race, and hopefully they can keep it going for their sake. But yeah, DRS is now active, and it's looking once again like there could be a change from position. Oh, here he goes, Ryo Mahoshi, who's made a move past Kian in the McLaren, so up to 7th for the Haas driver, and he's just absolutely on the march right now. And I don't know, if I was Chris, I'd get a look in his rearview mirror, because I suspect the Haas is going to be charging after him.
Yeah, he'll be right about his Ferrari's racing points will start holding each other up. Fletcher is starting to close up a bit. He's now under a second, so he's not letting PB Racing get away that easy. But if I was Fletcher, you know, I'd make sure and try to get his DRS, and must be happy that he's ahead of his counterpart.
Just trying to see what's happened there. I think that's Verheyen. I know Keke that may have had a drama. Verheyen's actually picked up a penalty. There was a brief yellow flag for that reason. So there's a bit of incident between the pair of them. Jonas, as Kajman pits, that I don't imagine that's a scheduled stop. So has he picked up any damage in the Renault, as Verheyen pits too? So looks like there's some drama between the Renaults and the Red Bulls at this early point. Although no, that's just an early stop for Kajman by the looks of it. Didn't look like he had any damage at all.
He must be going for a very aggressive, soft, medium stint. He's going to try and get an undercut on a load of these guys already.
There's an definitely damage for Verheyen, and I don't think any driver's going to want to follow Jonas too quickly, because I swear every time I got on board with him, it does look like he's got a bit of a lag issue, so hopefully that sorts itself out in time. But
Robbo nearly tapped the back of his teammate and had to really back out, but it looks like he's going to make the move around the outside, and it looked like an easy team move there. No battling to hold Robbo up, and now his job will be now to hold up the other Ferrari that's behind him.
As McLaren struggle, and it looks like Cowboy Q was having a bit of a look at the inside, but there was no room. But further down the field, there's a massive battle now between Nick, Kian and Farf, as McLaren once again finds itself going backwards, struggling for pace at this early point, and Farf just looking to try and see if there's any way to make a move. And this has caused quite a train behind Nick now, with Ryo Mahoshi all the way up the road, and he actually is on the back of that train that we mentioned further up the road, so he's really making progress quickly as Catboy Key pits. So is he also going for an aggressive strategy, I wonder? Some very early stops here. They obviously know that tyre wear is not a massive issue around here, and maybe just trying a bit of an undercut to see if it benefits them, because he didn't look like he was going all that quickly at this stage of the race, Catboy Key, so maybe not fancying those soft tyres any longer.
Oh, somebody's got off. Robbo's off. Robbo's off.
Gonna try and catch him if I can. Of course, I can't find him when I really want to. There we go. Oh yeah, he's gone way off. So that's a... And he's got damage too, so that's a real disaster. And he's got a probably very harsh 10-second time penalty, which may get removed, because I don't really think he had much of a say in where his car was going ultimately there. But yeah,
question is, did he have contact with the Ferrari, or he's gone well over the curb, going over turn 2 and 3, and just flung his car off the track? Because it can happen. So I didn't see that. I just saw him off the track, so I didn't see exactly what happened there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we saw the aftermath of it. We don't have the benefit of replays, so it's a real shame for Tom Robbo that he's going to have to recover to the pit lane and hope that he can make some sort of recovery from that, but that's not what he needed at all. And although Jay Fletcher's not out in the lead, which is what he would have been hoping to be, he's still in a very strong position in this race. And to be fair, PB Racing just isn't quite able to get that second window back again. So right now Jay Fletcher's sitting pretty nicely in second, and whether he knows it or not, his championship rival's in a lot of trouble.
But Fletcher doing well, his teammate is absolutely causing a massive train here. And one of the Alphas is coming in as well, the Alfa Romeo is coming in to get out of this train and try and get an undercut. And the Ferrari of Chris is in as well, so more people coming in the pits. But Farf is doing a great job up to 6th now on those mediums, and he'll really want to try and get past Nick very soon as well.
Absolutely crucial for Chris, as his pit crew managed to get him out just before Schnitzler went past, so he hasn't lost any time there, which is absolutely critical. But I'm pretty sure the 1 lap extra he'll have been stuck there will mean that Catboy Key is significantly in front of him, And indeed he is. So that's worked out quite nicely for Catboy Key. But of course, you may gain time making an early stop, but you may lose that time later on. So it's about finding that right balance. As F1 Farf is looking to try and get past Nick, who is continuing to hold up quite a few cars. I'm a little bit surprised that only Schnitzel made that early stop there, because I can't imagine this train of cars is going all that quickly. I feel like you would almost be better if you're out of it at this stage. As Farf goes for the outside at turn 11. He's going side by side, a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but Farf looks like he's going to make the move. Stick, is he? Nick tried to hold it out, but he couldn't do. There was a bit of contact. Nick hasn't fully gone round, thankfully, but he has lost a couple more positions to the McLarens. It's always so tricky through those sequence of corners as Rimpe.
That was bold from Rimper. Tried to dive down the inside there. That was never going to work.
Yeah, I just saw the AlphaTauri appear there alongside Nick. It looked a bit optimistic, but ultimately hasn't worked out for him. As Scorpion now pits as well, so both Ferraris stopping pretty early on. But yeah, I mean, it was a good move from Farf. It's so tricky through turns 12, 13 and 14 just to keep side by side, and there was a bit of contact, but thankfully it hasn't cost Nick too much as he also now pits. But Farf.
Yeah, because Farf had the much better traction and grip going around the outside. I was surprised Nick tried to hold it, and fair play to him, but lucky it hampered him. But I'm surprised it's not coming anyway. It looks like he's been struggling on those softs now for the last 2 or 3 laps. As we all saw, we're holding a bunch of cars up.
Let's see where Scorpion rejoins. Oh, it's literally just behind Catboy Key. So Catboy Key there's gained that position on Scorpion, but it's not by much, and he may find himself coming under attack here. Down the straight between turns 7 and 8. So looking pretty good at the moment for Scorpion. I think he's probably a little bit surprised he's only lost that amount of time, really, and he's already making the move past Catboy Key. So staying out those couple of extra laps, I would say that's worked out pretty well for Scorpion.
Yeah, he's done very well, and he's made the move on Catboy Key very quickly. Unless Catboy can get him back on this DRS, I don't think so. So I think Scorpion will have DRS on Rimper. He's got to get past Rimper though very quickly if he wants to try and get some kind of undercut from the top 2, because they have stayed out, and I'm sure they'll be in this lap or next lap.
Let's see, PB Racing then coming up to the pits, and yes, he is pitting, and so is Jay Fletcher. So yeah, they're both in the pits on this lap, so that rules out any opportunity for Jay Fletcher to do anything different with a first stop. But nevertheless, he's in the pits now, and they're probably both just looking at covering off Scorpion, who's made that pit stop. But they may be thankful in a way here, because I get the feeling Rimpe might just be their saving grace, and he's even staying out as well just to compromise Scorpion that little bit more. Yeah,
like I said, Rimper's going to become sadly another mobile chicane like he was last week, and these guys are going to have to get past him as soon as possible. And luckily for PB Racing and Fletcher, they've come out ahead of him, and they'll be able to stretch the gap even more, because you can already see the Ferrari teammate and the Racing Point are right behind Rimper. They're losing a lot of time, and they've got to get this move down the long straight very quickly.
They really do, and at the moment, well, the team that's only got 1 point in the Constructors, they're currently 1 and 2 in the race, so how's that a turn up for the Bucks as Scorpion makes a move past Rimpe pretty easy down into turn 8, and in fact further behind, Chris is having a bit of a look at Catboy Key. Is he going to make that stick? No, he's not, and if anything now they're both going to have to queue up and wait behind Rimpe, who's not got that same grip on his tyres that these lot have. And can Catboy Key make a move into turn 11? I don't think he's close enough yet, so he's going to have to wait on that one, and that's going to be tricky because there isn't really any obvious overtaking spots through his final sector.
No, PB Racing's got past the Red Bull very quickly, and so has Fletcher now, so it's very important they've got to get past some of these slower cars that have not pitted yet. Interestingly, the Haas is still going out on his softs. He seems very happy on those softs, like he says the Haas one too, and Keane has just come in. But I'm interested to see. I think the Haas driver looks like he's definitely going to be doing a medium soft run, I think, staying out for that long.
Well, I mean, he's in clear air. He's probably thinking right now, as Nick, he's out of a race and we've got a virtual safety car. I'm going to try and go on board with Okeke. Yeah, he's crashed what looks like through turn 20, the penultimate corner, and maybe he's got too much on the curb on the exit. it spat him into the opposite wall. That would be my best guess as to what's happened there, but that's a real blow for Nick, who was looking pretty good around the tail end of the points, but there's going to be no points coming his way now, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a shame for him. I was thinking, was that going to be perfect for Kia, but he was just coming out the pits when the VSC come out, so it hasn't really gave anybody an advantage. But yeah, interestingly, Hoshi is the only driver now that hasn't pitted, so I'm interested to see how much longer he stays out for.
Oh, that is opportunistic in the extreme. Catboy Key sneaks up the inside of Rimpe as soon as the VSC ends. And that was a lovely little move, but if anything now he's going to be coming back under attack, so that cheeky move might not actually pay him dividends in the end, as Rimpe is going to come back, and there's contact between the pair of them, and that forces Rimpe off the track and actually means he gets a penalty. But he does maintain the position, which I'm not sure. I think he's going to let... Is he going to let Catboy Key through? And no, I'm not sure he is. He looks like he's holding it in there, so they're not really giving the position back, and this will be frustrating Catboy Key as he sees Scorpion disappear down the road, and this is not what he needed at this stage of the race. And I do wonder if Rimpe probably should have been giving up that position, but Chris now going down the outside into turn 20. It's carbon copy of last week for Rimpe, really. He's causing a lot of drivers behind him big problems.
The difference is, though, last week he was letting them through. This week he really is putting up a fight. And we've got a safety car now.
Verhaenen's crashed out.
Well, this is perfect for the leader.
Yeah, now Ryoma Hoshi can just pit and get rid of those soft tyres, and he'll have done one of his 2 stops. Now, I'm trying to see on board with Casper if I can as to where Verhaenen went off the track. I'm just going through the far sector now.
His car's gone now, but I know where he's hit it on the right hand side of the wall around the hotel bit, just before the last 2 corners where I saw the dot on the map. So he's gone too wide, over the curb, probably bounced over the curb and got into the wall. He lost his front right tyre probably. Maybe
a slight consequence, I wonder, perhaps, of that drive-through penalty he'd got. Maybe just get a bit hot under the coal, pushing it that little bit too much. It is certainly one of those corners where you can just... It almost invites you to push it, and then you've got that wall on the outside that is just there waiting for you if you put it a bit too much and speed into the corner. So it is definitely a corner that can catch you out, and it looks like it's caught Verhaenen out. And unfortunately for him, it's another DNF. He's not getting the rubber to green at the moment, that's for sure.
No, now I'm interested to see where is Hoshi going to come out after he's made his pit stop. And he's going to have fresh tyres as well. This is perfect time for him. And if things carry on, Haas could get some really good points tonight that they desperately need.
Well, it's going to be a double stack as well, because Farf is in as well in P2. What's Hoshi going on to? Is he going on to mediums? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's going on mediums, yeah.
Sensible thing to do. Obviously, if you go on softs, it kind of restricts your strategy, whereas if you go on mediums, you've now got an open choice for your other stops. So it's the most logical thing to do.
Everybody else is pitting. Everybody else is pitting. I think they're going to make their 2 stops already.
Does that mean a lot of people are going to go into hard tyres? I wonder. Scorpion's gone onto hards, which we don't believe are all that quick, to be honest. So he could be in a bit of trouble. So is Chris. So both Ferraris going onto hards, and they really are going to test out just how bad those hard tyres are, or good if they can make them work. But yeah, this is a dream situation for the Haas team. Only 1 point coming into tonight, but Hoshi's got one of his stops out of the way, and he's still in the lead, and he's got 2 drivers behind him on much older tyres who might be able to do a good job. And look at that as well. Farf's in 5th, Hindle finds himself in 4th, and PB Racing and Jay Fletcher must be thinking that's possibly one of the worst time safety cars ever from their point of view.
Yeah, they've made their 2 stops already on the mediums, and the mediums are going to be very, very worn by the end of this race. And if Hoshi can have a good little stint and then he comes out again on softs, he's going to be absolutely flying. And the thing is, those hards will easily get to the end, but they take a while to warm up, and they are not that quick. So they'll get to the end, but they could lose that amount of time, but by the time the people come in again, they could be ahead or just right behind them, and it'll be like 2 seconds a lap quicker then.
The estimate between the mediums and the hards, just for context, is that the hards are 1.4 seconds a lap slower. So that's a lot of time that you could potentially lose. You might potentially have better tyres come the end compared to those that have stopped for mediums, but that's a lot of time to lose, certainly in the first few laps, and it possibly means that Scorpion and Chris are going to have to do more defending than attacking, certainly in the early laps once we get back underway. And then you've got the likes of Hindle and Farf on soft tyres. Oh, and just to make things worse for Chris on the hards, he's now got a penalty for a collision with Kian under the safety car, so not too sure what's happening there. I was on board with the leader. But yeah, this is a very interesting race now. You've got many different strategies at play, and I almost wonder who's going to come out on top. Of course, we can't rule out the possibility of another safety car or even a VSC later on, which could play into certain drivers' hands.
Well, yeah, from the start of this race tonight, PB Racing and Fletcher were the top two, quite comfortably out in front, to be honest. And now this safety car has really flicked everything around. And you never know, we could see a Haas victory tonight if Hoshi can get away. Because the good news for him is the guys in second and third have not pitted, and on 7 and 5 lap old medium. So if he gets away and these guys hold the rest up, he could have a nice gap by the time they get past. So everything's looking very good for the Haas driver right now.
Yeah, so looking at it in a moment and just having a look at the stops everyone's made. So you've got 6th and 7th place of PB Racing and Fletcher who don't have to stop again. And then also now everyone from 10th has also made their 2 stops. So it's the top 6 as well as Okeke and Jonas who do have a stop more to make. But in terms of the tyres they've got on, they are definitely in an advantage in that state of things. So, and like I say, if there's another safety car, that kind of screws over those that have made their second stops already, because it really doesn't play into their hands at all and may force them into another stop regardless. So this is going to be a real interesting part of the race now, and if Ryoma Hoshi, like you say, can have a really good middle stint here, he puts himself right into play for a really strong result tonight.
Yeah, he definitely does, and I see that Robbo, the championship leader, is down in 16th, and he's on the hards as well. And he's going to have to try and pick up some consistent points here, because, like I said, Fletcher could be the championship leader by the end of the night.
That's it, and he's clearly got the pace as Tom Robbo, but just maybe a few consistency issues starting to creep in. Certainly qualifying is an area where he'll be hoping to start improving. Safety car is in this lap, and I don't know, with how the season's gone so far, do you reckon the leader will be slightly surprised of the position he's in?
If it was me, yeah, I'd be thinking, you know, birthday and Christmases all come at one day, you know, I've hit the jackpot. But for now, I'd be focusing and making sure, well, let's make the best out of this situation. Let's get a really solid result. So just head down, try and pull away. If Kazman and Schnitzel can hold the rest up as long as possible, that's perfect for him as well.
Now, we've talked a bit already about teams and working together, and I think, well, I was just literally about to ask you about it. I think they've already done it. It looked to me like Schnitzel has let Hindle through, and that, from an Alfa Romeo perspective, was the only thing to do in that situation.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you've got to let him through. He's a lot quicker, and you know, you don't want to be holding up everybody else. You know, for people like Farf, he needs to get past Schnitzel very quickly as well. But already, Hoshi's already got a second gap already from Cashman. But Hindle is not messing around, and he's looking down the inside already, the Renault driver, and he wants to get after Hoshi as quickly as possible. That's a very comfortable move there, already up for second already.
PB Racing's trying desperately to make a move as well. This is a shocking camera angle I have. But down the inside he goes. Oh, he's almost pushed Farf off the road there. Don't think that was deliberate, but he's gone into the wall. There was contact between the pair of them. And that is PB Racing. This race gone horribly wrong. I only saw it from PB Racing's sort of broadcast or TV pod view, shall I say. So I'm not too sure, but it almost looked like he almost didn't give Farf the space he needed. But either way, that's a big blow to both their races, and just shows how much this race can really turn on its head.
Yeah, I just saw the end of it myself. I can't say whose fault it was, but PB Race definitely got damaged now, and that is not great for him. Good news for Fletcher though, he's been able to get up to 5th now, and he's after Schnitzel. But the top two are already pulling away, as I thought. I've got a penalty as well, so it's not been the best of laps for him. But yeah, I feel sorry for PB Racing. Second, looking alright, comfortable in the lead. And now he's going to have to pit and work all the way. But he will really want another safety car now.
Is this a scheduled stop for Jonas, I wonder, or is this for damage? Or is he might be serving a drive-through, actually. I don't know. Let's have more of a quick look. How many stops has he made? Because that was a bit of a bizarre one. Yeah, I think that's a drive-through with Jonas' surge, you know, because I don't think he hasn't registered as a second stop. So, yeah, just like Jonas had to serve a drive-through out, which is absolutely disastrous for him. I actually don't know when he got that, to be fair. So, but at least that's been served for him now. And yeah, Kajman at the moment is a godsend for the top two, because they are just streaking away from him, while Kajman sort of holds up the cars behind. But Jay Fletcher, who suddenly finds himself once again in a really strong position, goes to the outside going into turn 11. Is he going to make the move into third place? He's looking to make a move right around the outside. This is going to be brave if he can make this stick. He picks up a penalty and trying to do so, and he goes off the road almost. But he's still sticking it around the outside. I think at turn 14, and that's a sensational move in the end. Fully committed. They just about had enough room to get through there. You don't usually see cars going alongside for all those corners, but Jay Fletcher made it stick, although at the expense of a penalty. So
yeah, that penalty could hinder it, because the top two do not have a penalty at the moment. So it could be a deciding factor. But I'm interested to see how quickly he can catch those two. Interestingly, Hoshi is pulling away from Hindle, and he's on the mediums compared to Hindle's soft tyres. So absolutely flying the hash driver tonight.
Yeah, fair play to him. He's doing a fantastic job at the moment. You'd maybe imagined Hindle would be really closing him down, but he's just, at the moment, he looks really comfortable out the front, and the more that drivers get held up, it's going to play into his hands more and more, as we see. Is that more problems for Rimpe further down the field, I wonder? Just trying to, oh no, actually it looks like there's a lot of changes of position further behind, and as Rimpe actually been pushed slightly wide by Nolsey, as Tom Robbo looks to take advantage as well. This is further down for P12, 13 and 14, and we got Catboy Key making a move on the Ferraris further up the road as well. So action wherever you look, but it looks like Catboy Key has made a couple of important moves there on the two Ferraris, who, I've got to be honest, as we expected, they don't seem to be enjoying those hard tyres all too much right now.
No, and remember the racing points and Ferraris were right at the front of the field as well, so it's not worked out for them either. And Ferrari and race point going side by side. I did watch Farf make a move on the Renault driver. He's now made his move up into 6th place now, and it looks like Cashman is starting to call the train like Nick did earlier in the race.
Yeah, we anticipated as much. I did go on board with it for a few corners with Cashman. It looks like he had a lot of understeer in that Renault, so I don't know, perhaps Renault swapping oversteer for understeer this week, but well, that was a good example of it, as he went wide at turn 20 and has picked up a penalty as a result. But this is no good for these drivers behind him. They can't get through his section of track. Farf is right behind Schnitzel, but you're all well and good trying to make a move through there. There isn't really anywhere to go, so he has to stay slotting behind for now. And decent recovery from Farf after what happened at the restart, but as for PB Racing, his race has really gone from what looks like a potential dream to a nightmare. He's down in 18th, so yeah, Farf thankfully escaped that damage for his sake, and he's still very much in contention, as PB Racing probably took out some of his frustrations there with that lap he just posted.
Yeah, absolutely flying, and Farf is going to look round the outside and makes the move done. Just thinking, like, I think Fletcher's just comfortable in third because he's already made his 2 pit stops, and he must know the guys in front are going to be making another pit stop, so I don't think that's why he's pushed too much. But the Renault driver is going to get past Schnitzel as well, and the McLaren driver Kian, so he's losing quite a lot of few positions at the moment.
It was Okeke and Kian nearly came into contact, but yeah, Schnitzel's got no pace at the moment. I mean, he has been on those mediums quite a number of laps, and maybe tyre wear just starting to come into it as he drops down the order. But yeah, at the moment, Kajman's still in that 4th place and still doing a mighty job for the top 3 in terms of their races, as Farf does need to try and overtake Kajman as quickly as possible. The only blessing really could be that Kajman might not be too many laps away from a pit stop, but it won't be this lap, so Farf is going to need to do some overtaking on track here to try and start bridging the gap into that top 3, who at the moment things are just going very nicely for, as Schnitzel pits. So, yeah, we mentioned he might be struggling on his tyres, and he's decided he's had enough of those mediums, and I imagine he'll probably take on another set of mediums to the end now. And I guess he's going to see how the race shakes out, maybe looking at the tail end of the points if his end to the race goes well.
Yeah, he could end up getting points at the end. You know, he's going to be on fresh tyres, and mostly everybody knows he can make a good few moves. Probably Farfus, he's barely got any ERS left. He should still be able to make the move, but it doesn't help he's only got like 3% ERS. And no, he's not going to be able to. He hasn't got the power, but Kian's sliding down the inside though of the other Renault. So there's plenty of action going on behind Cashman, and it's just letting the top 3 easily pull away.
Yeah, and it's a real blow for Farf not having this CRS available to him. He's nothing he can do. He's clearly quicker than Cashman, but if he obviously can't get the run out the corners and then doesn't have the ERS to make up for it, so at the moment Cashman just sitting nicely in 4th, doing his own race. Of course, there's no obligation for him to move out of the way or anything like that. He's just doing his own thing at the moment, but it's really impacting on Farf's race and maybe a couple of others, although you suspect. I think Catboy Keys also got past the Renault of Okeke, so Okeke not holding on to positions quite as well as his teammate right now.
No, Catboy is actually flying through the field at the moment. He did try to make a move on the McLaren on the second DRS point, but he couldn't make it. But yeah, Cashman has done a brilliant job to hold this position. He was second, but he's held his 4th place ever since the safety car come in. That's been a good few laps now, and to be honest, I think Farf's tyres might be going off a little bit now, because he's dropped off a little bit now, and now he's got Kean all over the back of him.
Just looking at the gaps at the moment, the only issue for, I mean, of course he's got a few more laps before he pits yet as a race leader, but unless he can really get the hammer down in the next few laps, he's probably going to come out in this massive trade of cars. So that's the only downside for him right now. Although I have to say, if there is a potential mover in that top 3, I think we're starting to see the effects of Hindle's tyres go off, because Jay Fletcher is starting to close on him.
Yeah, it comes to a point after a good 5 or 6 laps on the softs, they start wearing out quite quickly, so.
And you wonder perhaps is Farf getting to that point as well. He may have to start looking in his mirrors more so than in front of him, because Kian and Catboy Key are right there. And yeah, Farf just unable to make the move on Cashman, and that inability to make the move while his soft tyres were still fresh could be a real problem for him later on. As you see, he goes deep again there under brakes. There's probably a bit of frustration that he hasn't managed to clear the Renault, but now he's going to get into that tyre. Oh, he nearly went into the wall there, I think. And the exit, and Kian making an opportunistic move around turn 20, but can't quite make it stick. But yeah, there's no doubt about it that if anything now, Farf is the one who's going to be coming under more pressure.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need to pit, and as you can tell, Fletcher is now under a second behind. Hindle's struggling on his softs now. But I know these guys are going to be holding out for another soft stint at the end. Hopefully for Hoshi, some of these guys that are in this massive queue of cars are going to pit as well. Or he picks up another penalty that's going to hinder him at the end of the race. But even Rimper is now on the back of the other Renault as well, and the McLaren. Like, from 4th place, basically all the way down to 14th, it's very close, to be honest.
Oh, Hindle trying desperately to hold it against Jay Fletcher, but Fletcher's just got more traction on those tyres. But no, it's Hindle's going to have a DRS though down this next straight into turn 11, so he's not giving this up without a fight. He doesn't want to let Jay Fletcher through easily, probably because he knows that Jay Fletcher can go to the end from here, so the more he can hold him up, the better it is for him. But eventually it looks like Jay Fletcher's going to have the inside line now, and eventually Hindle's going to have to back out of it. But again, just that extra little bit of battling, Hindle might know just how crucial that could be later on.
Oh, definitely. I can't get over how many cars are so close to each other. Like, very, very close. Like, okay, from like, well, Robert's up to 11th now. Robert's started. Oh no, Robert's got off.
And Robert's out.
He's
and
out.
There's another safety car.
Oh my god.
But I tell you what, Ryoma Hoshi was already past the pits.
That's bad for him.
So he wasn't able to pit, whereas Hindle and Kajman and nearly everyone else behind can. And obviously Jay Fletcher doesn't need to, so... Oh, we talked about how much of a first safety car played into Ryo Mahoshi's hands, but probably about 15 seconds too late for him this second one.
That has worked out absolutely perfectly for Hindle. He's going to come out, I think, stay in 4th place. Yes, he is. He's going to be on fresh softs. Now, Hoshi's going to have to pit anyway. But if Fletcher doesn't pit, he's going to be under an amount of pressure on those mediums because those softs will absolutely fly. And they'll probably be a bit worn out in the last couple of laps. So Fletcher's going to have to hold these guys on the softs for quite a few laps if he doesn't pit.
I tell you, look at one driver who's really gained out of this. We've got Rimpe in 3rd.
Has he made 2 stops though?
He has, yep.
I didn't think I was going to see Rimpe up on the podium at the moment, but fair play to him. But he's going to have a hell of a job as well to hold all these other guys back that have all pitted for fresh soft tyres.
I don't know if it's a deliberate strategy every race from Rimpe, but once again he's in the position where he's going to become a bit of a roadblock, I fear, at this restart. And, well, I think Jay Fletcher's going to be hoping he can keep Hindle behind, because Hindle's going to be in a really strong position. I'm assuming Ryo Mahoshi will be in right now. Yes, indeed he is.
And but sadly, the gamble for the Ferraris on the hards did not work out at the end with the second safety car coming out.
That's it. That's completely ruined their strategy. They've had to pit and go on softs, and they're currently comfortably outside the points. So it's quite incredible when you look at how the race was shaping up early on. We had PB Racing at the front. You had both Ferraris and both racing points in contention. It's completely flipped around now. The only driver who's really where he was at the start is Jay Fletcher, but the rest of them have really had some misfortune since then.
Yeah, and the rest are all coming in. Rimpe's coming in. They're being very sensible, I feel, because they're just going to get absolutely slaughtered by the guys on the soft. So Hindle gets 2nd place.
But Ryo Mahoshi's still in the lead.
Yeah, and Fletcher has a 3-second time penalty as well. So that is definitely against us. So the top 2, do we have a new race winner this season?
Yeah,
at the moment.
Well, absolutely, and to be fair, like it's a massive turn up for the books, because I mean, coming into this race, you're looking at it like Hindle only had 3 points to his name, and Ryo Mahoshi only had 1 point to his name. So these are really probably not 2 drivers you would have gone for as potential favourites for this race. But I like what Jay Fletcher's done here, in the fact that he's pitted, because we know how quick he is, and I absolutely cannot rule him out now. So he's got that penalty, which is going to be really crucial, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if the top 2 are maybe on 2 warnings and 1 away from a penalty. This is going to be a key 7 laps now, because the top 2 are going to want to push, but if anything, the thing I need to be most careful of is avoiding picking up any penalties.
Yeah, and the big standout I see is Schnitzel is the only one that decided to stay out on his medium tyres. I know he's only 3 laps, but he's going to be under a lot of pressure up to 5th at the moment. But yeah, you could be right. Like, the top 2 could be 1 warning away for getting a penalty. And Fletcher knew he probably wouldn't be able to cope with the guys who are on fresh soft, so he's did exactly the right thing. And he's come out in a really good position as well. So don't rule Fletcher out winning this race, of course. We know how quick he is. And Cashman worked out perfectly for him as well. He's back and forth on fresh tyres, so you never know, because the top 2 not got a penalty and all the way down to 11. So at the moment, Knowlesy would be in a podium position at the moment.
If I'd say another driver who's probably not benefited from this, it's Hoshi's teammate Farf, who's dropped to 16 in the other Haas, and I have to say that's not where it was looking like he was going to be a few laps ago. So yeah, that hasn't worked out for him at all, and it's really him and Casper who are going to be the last 2 to catch up to the safety car. But yeah, far from PB Racing where they are is not what I would have expected earlier on in this race. But the opportunity for points is still there, because A, of how close it is, and B, well, we know how quick they both are, so we could expect to see some overtakes from them. But yeah, it's been a tough one in terms of strategy today, because the safety cars really have thrown this race all over the place. You look at a strategy on paper, it looked good, but then all of a sudden the safety cars just made it go all wrong.
Yeah, his strategy goes completely out the window when a safety car comes out. And but give fair play to Hoshi. Was he about 6th or 7th at the time? And he was right on the back of the Racing Boys and Ferrari. So he's had decent pace, you know, to be up there. And if he wins this race, he's well, he's definitely at the moment he's definitely getting my driver there at the moment.
And some slightly surprising support in the chat. Tom Robbo is cheering on Hindle, which I thought when I first saw that comment, I thought, wait a minute, they're not teammates, and they're not. But obviously, maybe they get on really well off the track. But yeah, Tom Robbo hoping for Hindle to do well. I'm sure as well he'll be hoping that Catboy Key can pick up some points, because Racing Points are very much in the Constructors' Championship battle too. And yeah, the safety car in this lap. And well, Ryoma Hershey's led for quite a bit of this race now, but it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with this restart, because the pressure is really on him, and he's in an unfamiliar position, as is Hindle in many regards. So this is going to be a real test for these guys, and I'm also interested to see how Schnicksel gets on, because he's very much, like you say, the odd one out in this group.
Yeah, it's always very nervous when you're leading for the first time before the safety car comes in, and you want to make sure you get the perfect start and you don't get caught napping. So let's see how he takes it. Is he going to go straight away, or is he going to bunch them all up? We'll have to see what kind of tactics he's going to use.
Well, he's not let the safety car get that far ahead, to be honest, which is maybe not something you would advise too well, but because it basically makes it quite predictable as to when you're going to floor it, which will be right about now. He goes, but if anything, it looks like Hindle might come under a bit of pressure at the restart. Thankfully for him, there's not too much of a straight before you get to turn 1, so he's going to have to slot in behind just for now. And the top 3 have got away pretty well, and Kajman, if anything's probably lost a bit of ground in 4th, but of course the first few laps they won't have DRS available to them, so if you do want to make a move, you might have to be a little bit more creative than normal. But look at Hindle already coming majorly under attack from Jay Fletcher, and that might just be what the Haas driver needs to scarf the road a bit.
Yeah, if Hindle and Fletcher can battle for too much, then it gives Hoshi a chance to pull away. But Cashman's right up there as well. But
here comes Jay Fletcher.
He's going to go through past Schnicksel.
There's contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes, but Jay Fletcher's going to have the superior traction around the outside, and he's using a lot of his overtake. He knows how crucial this move is, and he's got a nose in front of Hindle. Is Hindle going to come back at him into turn 11? No, he's not. So Jay Fletcher makes a crucial overtake. There was a little bit of contact, but it all seemed relatively fair enough, and that's an important move. And the question is now, can Jay Fletcher close in and somehow grab this victory?
Well, yeah, he's got to catch past Hoshi and get a 3-second gap if he doesn't get a penalty. So very crucial for him to get past Hindle very, very quickly. And now he's just got to push on and try and get past him as quickly as possible. But Catboy Key, like I said, got past Schnicksel very quickly, and he's on a charge for a podium himself.
Yeah, he's definitely not out of the question either. As look at that fastest lap from our race leader. It looks like there might have been an issue for Scorpion on the restart, because he's dropped right to the back of the field, so that's effectively his race almost over, as Schnicksel loses another place, this time to Rimpe. So the decision to stay out, it was a bit of a gamble, and it doesn't look like there's enough grip in those tyres for it to pay off. So Schnicksel dropping down the field, and you can see already there's a queue of cars behind waiting to get past him as well.
Hey, fair play to Rimpe though, up to 6th, having a much better race than he did last week, so he's ended up looking like he's going to get some solid points at the moment. The Catboy Key's going to try it round the outside of Cashman, and can he make the move stick? Or is just, no, he might have it. Both good driver though, keeping enough room, and he might keep the move, but Cashman's going to try and keep it down the inside, but no, Catboy Key's got the move. He's now up into 4th place.
He's staying in overtake though, Cashman. He's looking at a potential move back into turn 11. There's not enough room there though, and he eventually just had to give that one up, unfortunately. Catboy Key is really on the march and moves up to 4th, so he's potentially looking at maybe sneaking a podium. It is all going to come down to penalties, of course.
Fletcher's now less than only half a second behind. He's really charging now. He knows he's got to get this move done as soon as possible and then pull away.
Yeah, this is the battle for the win. Now, I don't think many would have predicted coming into this. You know, you've got the four, well, it used to be Cloudy Balloons, of course, changing his PSN name again, and it almost seems to have given him a new lease of life because he's absolutely flying here tonight. But it's all going to be about if he can avoid getting a penalty, because even if Fletcher does get past at this stage, I struggle to see how he can gain 3 whole seconds on the Haas driver. I think he's too quick for that.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, but if I was Hoshi, I'd make it as hard as possible for Fletcher to get past. Don't let him go straight away, because, you know, you want to hold him back as long as possible. And Fletcher's really used all of his ERS here, and he's making the move.
He's going to have quite a narrow entry point into the corner, though, but there was nowhere for Ryoma Hoshi to go on the... maybe it would have been better just lining it up down the next straight rather than looking at the inside, going through turn 9, or turn 10 rather, but he went for it. And, yeah, ultimately that's meant he has no opportunity to come back into turn 11. So Jay Fletcher now is into the lead, and this is all going to be about, can he gain a position back? But it is a surprising move. Cashman has got back past Catboy Key.
Yeah, and Hindle is now right up with the top 2 again, so it is all changing.
It really is all to play for here, and we talked about that he might not be able to get the gap, but he needs Jay Fletcher to win this race. But Hindle's all of a sudden realised I could potentially overtake Ryoma Hoshi and get this win for myself. So, because of course penalties doesn't currently come into it with these pairs, so this is a fascinating end to the race where we are in a situation where any of the top 3 could win here, and it could potentially come down to thousandths in it at the end.
Yeah, well, we've got 3 laps to go, and he's going to have to pull. He's got to pull 1.8 seconds to get the win. So he's going to have to pull about 6/10 a lap. The question is, can he do it though?
What he would be hoping right now, which unfortunately doesn't look like is happening right now for him, well, he'd want the 2 behind to battle. That would be the dream scenario for him right now.
Absolutely, but it looks like Hoshi's trying to pull away a little bit, but the main battle at the moment, I think, is for 4th, 5th, 6th, and the rest. Rimpa's now caught the back of these 2 battling for 4th as well, so a really good solid end of the race drive for Rimpa, but Catboy Key looks like he might be close enough to make a move here. He's using most of his ERS, and Cashman's defending the inside line. Can Catboy Key go around the outside? Yes, he can.
That's a beautiful overtake from Catboy Key, but Cashman isn't done yet. He had a potential look back down the inside. He's got to watch out for Rimpe behind him, but what I find interesting here is you've got a real train of cars from 4th down to around, well, 14th really, so to speak, but 2 drivers to keep an eye on, and Knowlesy and Chris, because a lot of drivers in this train from 4th downwards have 6 seconds worth of penalties, so for Knowlesy and Chris, they could gain an abundance of positions come the end of a race. Yeah,
exactly. If they don't get a penalty, like you said, they're going to get loads of points, and interestingly, Fletcher's not really... he's kind of pulled away a little bit more. It's 1.7, but it's not going to be enough at the moment. Hoshi is still on course to get his first ever win. But like you said, Knowlesy and Chris could be, well, maybe could be around 5th, 6th by the end of this race. We don't know where everybody's going to finish until they all cross the finish line.
It's a bit of a random thing to think about, but this Fletcher Ryoma Hoshi situation reminds me a lot of the Lewis Hamilton versus Lando Norris situation at the Austrian Grand Prix 2020, where Lando had to get the time he needed to get the podium off Lewis, who had a penalty. It feels almost similar to that in that regard, and it's going to, I think, a bit like that one. It's going to come down to, well, it's going to be less than a second. I'm very certain of that. As
Cashman's gone for the dive down the inside, they bang wheels, and he's got past Catboy Key again. He seems to be swapping positions every time the DRS comes up, and everybody else is looking to see if they can gain a position as well. And Catboy Key's going around the outside again and makes it stick. Oh, this is great racing between these 2.
This is doing Schnicksel a favour, because he's only currently got 3 seconds of penalties, and he's actually not slipped down anymore since then. It's probably just because they're also closely bunched up together, so Schnicksel's actually recovered it pretty well, and ultimately I do think, despite losing a few positions on the restart, his decision to stay out might well pay dividends for him.
Yeah, and it looks like Alfa Romeo are going to get whole bunch of points what they really need, which Nick still gets that. Like I said, he's just been stuck in that DRS train, which he must be very happy with. And, you know, more laps are happening. We're on the last lap now. These softs are going to start going off. But Fletcher has crossed the line, started his last lap. He needs 0.8 of a second or more to win this race. I don't think he'll be able to do it.
Well, he's definitely not going to have any help, it looks like, from Hindle behind, who just isn't able to get close enough to the Haas to cause him any trouble. So I think you're right. It might just be a few tenths adrift come the end, but it's still going to be super close as Riley, I know Keke are doing battle further down in the tail end of the points. This trade, of course, bunching up is always going to lead to things like this happening, as Okeke comes back at Riley down the next straight. They're going side by side up to turn 8, and who's going to be later and braver on the brakes? It looks like Riley might potentially. He's not going to be run out of road, so yeah, there's a bit more wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair, and they're still going to be alongside each other. And I just wonder if Knowlesy, who's not got any penalties, is probably just thinking, I'm happy for you guys to keep doing what you're doing, because I don't want to get involved in this. But I tell you what, it's getting super close for Jay Fletcher. He might just do it. Oh,
yeah,
Riley.
Looks like he's going to do it. Maybe as Hoshi backed off too much, he's been too comfortable, as Fletcher just gone out for it. Oh.
This is going to be... I mean, one mistake though from Jay Fletcher could hand it back, but it looks like he might just have done enough here around the final corner. There's instant further down. It looks like Riley is out of the race on the final lap, but Jay Fletcher has got the 3 seconds he needed to take a dramatic win here in the Precision Tier Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. What an ending to the race that was. And I wonder what the emotions will be going through that Haas driver's cockpit right now, because Ryoma Hoshi must have felt like he had the win, but he's going to have to make do with second.
Yeah, and Chris and Knowlesy did get 4th and 5th at the end, because they had no penalties.
Quite incredible, really. So just by hanging on to in that train and not picking up any penalties, that has really paid dividends for them. 4th and 5th is an outstanding result just by steering clear of any penalties. But I have to say, that's a quite dramatic ending to this race. And I have to say, Jay Fletcher pulled out the bag. I mentioned it was like Norris and Lewis Hamilton this year, or last year rather. But I have to say, Jay Fletcher really did replicate that Lando Norris final lap right there.
Yeah, he needed 8 attempts, and he got a second off Hoshi on the last lap. I don't know if Hoshi made a mistake, or Fletcher just nailed the lap. But to do that, he deserves to win the race at the end. But Hoshi and Hindle must be so happy to be on the podium, though.
Yeah, and that makes it back-to-back wins for Jay Fletcher, and he also takes the fastest lap, so it's fastest lap for him as well, so more crucial points. He takes the win. Ryoma Hoshi takes second, Hindle in third. We've got Chris in 4th, Knowlesy 5th, Catboy Key in 6th, Nixel 7th, Kajman is 8th, Scorpion is in 9th, and Rimpe collects the final point in 10th, with PB Racing just missing out in 11th. Actually, no, picking up a few points in 11th, rather, should I say. And Kian actually gets the final point in 12th, with Okeke dropping outside the points for Renault in 13th. He'll be gutted. Farf as well. It looks like he was going to be firmly in the points. And then you got Jonas Casper with 4 retirements in the end. Riley, Tom Robbo, Verheyen and Nick. With Riley, guttingly for him, dropping out on the final lap, which I didn't actually see what happened, but it was super close between him and a bunch of other drivers, and I wonder if perhaps there was a bit too much contact in the end.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think the safety car just wasn't good for Favre. Surprised about Robbo crashing out, Nick not finishing, but that should easily make Fletcher the new championship leader now after back-to-back wins. Absolutely,
yeah. He was only 3 points behind Tom going into this round, so that's going to put him in a really, really good position here. And absolutely what he needed. I just want to say as well, a massive thank you as well to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, who will actually provide him rigs to the Going Gets Tough award winner. And also a massive thank you to Liam13, who's sponsoring the trophies again this year, which I think, to be fair, based on that, Jay Fletcher, we're very much hoping that he's going to be the recipient of one of those trophies. If you do want to check out Liam13, you can do so at twitch.tv/LiamRBS. But one job we've got left to do, of course, is our Driver of the Day award. And I'll let you go first on that one.
I'm still going to go for Hoshi for driver of the day. I know he lost the win on the last lap, but well, he only had 1 point, 1 or 2 or 3 points by the start of the season. I still think he did a very good job. He did nothing wrong tonight. I know the safety car helped him out a bit, but still he had solid pace. So yeah, he's my driver of the day.
And what would be your question for him?
My question is, did he think that he was able to keep the 3-second gap before the end of the race to win with the 3-second penalty? So.
Very good. I didn't give it to Jay Fletcher last week because you beat me to that one, so I'm going to nominate Jay Fletcher this week. Thought he did an excellent job there. My question to him will be, how did you manage to find that lap right at the end to take the victory, and did you still believe you could do it coming into that lap? So that would be my question to him. Both of them fully deserving of being nominated for driver of the day. They both did an excellent job. And as well as that, I also want to mention Vespertine as well, who are supporting our prizes this season. So we've got a lot of great sponsors here at One Hub. But yeah, that's about it from me and Craig tonight. Of course, we will see you this 7:45 again next week, where we're racing at Brazil, which I'm hugely excited for. Brazil is just a mecca of drama. It usually seems like that's the case. I'm super excited for that. And yeah, just want to say, Craig, a massive thank you to you for joining me straight out of the driver's position into the comms box. That's a lot of commitment right there.
That's no problem. I fully enjoyed it. I want to give a shout out to Hindle as well. He did a very good job today as well. So big shout out for him. Yeah, very good race to watch, and can't wait to be back here next week around Interlagos.
Yep, all our podium finishers absolutely deserving their champagne on the podium there. Although, I say champagne, it's Abu Dhabi, so rosewater, unfortunately, if they are of the champagne enjoying variety. But yeah, we will see you next week for Interlagos. It's going to be an absolute cracker, as this one was too. But until then, goodbye, and we'll catch you on the flip side.